Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Ingested drummer Lyn Jeffs to the podcast. Last Monday, I got to see Ingested on the Pain Remains tour. Got to take some photos as well. The whole tour package is amazing. Ingested's set was incredible, and the band had copies of their new record for sale early. That record, Ashes Lie Still, is out this Friday, November 4th on Metal Blade Records. I know the Baltimore show was sold out, and I think that's the cases in most places for the Pain Remains tour. But if it's not, do not miss the tour and get there early to check out all the bands. You will not regret it. Lyn talks about living in various cities across the UK and what led him to move to Spain, discovering music, Ingested's history, choosing Metal Blade, the themes on the new record, and more. I'm stoked I got to have Lyn on the podcast and that I got to go see Ingested live. I hope you guys enjoy hanging out with Lyn Jeffs from Ingested. How's things going for you?
Good, man. Yeah, just preparing for a tour because we start end of next week.
Yeah. Is this your first tour in a while, or?
No, we finished up. We did some festivals in August, so we've had like a couple months off. But
yeah,
I'm just getting my head in the game.
Yeah. How has the scene been like for live music over there in the UK and Europe?
I mean, I actually live in Spain. I'm the only member that doesn't live in the UK, but obviously I'm from the UK and lived there for a long time. In comparison to the States, it's a little bit different, actually. I feel like the scene in Europe in general has a bit more of an old school kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
It's like many things these days. It's like America kind of sets the trend and we kind of follow suit in a lot of ways. So usually like Europeans are a little bit behind, and then the kind of the trend sets in like a couple of years later. So,
yeah. I just meant like post like pandemic life, right? Like how's things been playing live over there again?
Yeah, great, man. To be honest, it's just nice to be back playing shows and just seeing everyone together. Just makes a huge difference, especially after like 2 or so years of just being locked up and not being able to see your friends and family on a regular basis. And it's along with actually seeing like fans and like familiar faces at shows, because we've been touring for a long time, so there's a lot of fans that come to our shows that have seen us a number of times. But along with that, along with the pleasure of seeing them again, it's nice to actually just see your friends from other bands that you've not toured with for a while, and because everyone's been in the same position. So it's just nice. It just feels like the community is kind of back together now. Hopefully.
Nice.
Without any more problems.
yeah, for sure. I know over here it was like once touring came back, people were like, all right, we're going to go to these shows and we're all going to lose our shit because we missed it for 2 years, and every show was crazy. It
felt like that because I mean we were one of the first European bands to come over to America after the pandemic. We did February with Fit for an Autopsy. And it only just kind of reopened like within like a few months. At that time, and it definitely felt like that. Nice. I felt like there was a lot of steam being let off at the shows, which is good.
Yeah. What took you to Spain?
My girlfriend, really. I lived in London for quite a while, maybe 8 years, 9 years, I think. We met in London. She's from Spain originally. When we started doing the band more full time, I started touring more. She didn't really want to stay in the UK. She was like, well, if you're going to be away for like 6-7 months of the year, I don't really want to be in the UK. It's cold and wet and raining. I was like, well, where do you want to go? She's like, I'd like to go back home. I'm not really, I'd like to spend more time with my friends or family. I was like, that sounds great. So let's do that then. So
it looks very nice wherever you are. So
it's all right. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to everywhere, though.
Yes, that is true. Well, that's awesome. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a little town in the middle of Wales called Newtown. That's
Yeah.
where I grew up originally. But I've kind of moved around a lot. I mean, I moved away from Wales when I was about 14, 15. I moved across the border to England. But being from like a small kind of village or small town, it was always in my mind that was like I'd want to get away to cities and actually live in cities. So when I was 17, I moved to Manchester, just on a whim, really. Just it's one of the closest cities to Wales, in the Midlands. So I was like, right, I'll just go there. And that's where I met the Ingested guys. So we started the band together there. I lived in Manchester for a bit, lived in Birmingham for a year, then lived in London for a few years. So I kind of moved around a bit, but I'm getting to the age now. I'm 35 now, where I've lived in city from like 17 to my age now. I've always lived in cities, or in the centre of cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to revert back to country life. I'm just like, I want to live somewhere quiet now. I'm done with people. I just want to live somewhere like somewhere desolate.
Yeah. That's awesome. What got you into music?
That's a good question, really. I mean, my family's not really that musical, but my brothers and sisters have, kind of always been interested in music, but not come from a playing point of view. But there's always been music kind of been around. My dad was a drummer many years ago, not to any kind of certain, any level really. He was just kind of like a local drummer, played in like local bands, which is how I started playing drums initially. But yeah, I guess it was just a general influence of people around you, people from school as well. When you obviously it's changed a lot now with Spotify and whatnot. But we used to like trade CDs, or people used to record things off the TV. Like we used to have Kerrang TV, MTV, Scuzz and things like that, or off radio like Total Rock. And used to record songs and just share it with your mates, and then you kind of you kind of find an identity, didn't you? At a certain point in your life. And you kind of go, oh, okay, I guess this is what I like, and then that's how it starts, isn't it, really? But yeah, I mean, there's always been like kind of music around. I mean, my dad was always into bands like Thin Lizzy, Pink Floyd, Deep Purple, Sabbath. So I guess that's kind of where I got the rock kind of influence. But it was really from spending time in school and like, being around like-minded people who kind of listen to like Nirvana and band, those kind of old kind of grunge bands, Alice in Chains, and then it kind of just got more and more extreme. And I remember actually he listened to the Slipknot album for the first time, the self-titled album. I think that was a turning point for me. I was just like, this is just what is this? And that kind of opened my mind really.
Yeah. I think Slipknot's just starting to get credit for how many people they turned on to extreme metal.
Well, the thing is, it was the timing of it though as well. I think, especially for us in Ingested, our age was perfect for when that self-titled album came out, and then after that it was Iowa, and that was like at an age where we started going to shows. So we all, even though we didn't even know each other back then, we all went to the Disaster Pieces tour. We all went to different shows. So I think it was a different time back then, I think, in terms of discovering music. Now music is just kind of everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a different way of discovering music these days. But Slipknot definitely deserve credit. And actually bands like Korn as well. I mean, we played Hellfest this summer. And Hellfest is great because obviously you have a lot of extreme bands, but then you kind of have a lot more of the mainstream kind of acts as well. And Korn are just fucking still amazing. They're just still so good live. Like, this is just, especially for how long they've been doing it for. To be that consistently good as a live band, it's unreal, really.
Yeah. The thought just popped into my head about it's different. Music is way more accessible now, but I'm like, I used to read CD liner notes and be like, okay, they're thanking these bands. These are the bands I'm listening to. But I'm like, you can go on Spotify and be like, I like this band. Who sounds like them when you scroll down? So it's kind of a similar thing. So
I guess so. I remember going into we used to have a shop called HMV in the UK, which is kind of similar to what would you have in America for record stores, like Tower Records,
Tower.
So it's kind of similar to that. But I remember going into HMV, going into the metal section and just finding bands with like illegible logos and being like the artwork and being like the artwork looked cool. I'll just take it over. And it was like Russian roulette a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You don't really get that anymore. That kind of like, the way you discover music is just different.
Yeah. At what point did you start trying to play in bands and start bands?
In high school, really, when I was about, I guess, 13-ish, I started kind of jamming with friends. Like I said, like kind of just playing covers, like playing like kind of stuff like Nirvana and stuff like that. And it just kind of got more and more extreme. My first kind of extreme metal band was a band called Dark Earth when I was about 15. Played with those guys. Those guys actually helped me kind of get more into more extreme stuff as well, like Nile, Bloodbath, kind of bands like that.
Yeah.
And then from then, I started playing in another band called Decapity for a couple of years. And then that's when I met Ingested. And it went from there, really.
Cool.
Now I have all the bad habits of a drummer that's been playing death metal for 20 years, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Has your time in bands like changed your approach at all? I mean, like the way like kind of studios have shifted in recording music, has that like changed the way you play or think about your playing with like, especially in studio and versus live?
Definitely. I mean, I think when we recorded the first album for Ingested, I mean, it was the first time we ever recorded to a click track or even played along to a click track. And like the engineer we were working with, they were just like, "What's the tempo of the song?" We're like, "I don't fucking know. We just fucking play it." So like we had to map out all the tempos and everything. It's just like, wow, this is new.
Yeah.
And it's horrible because you realize how shit you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's not a nice experience, but you kind of get used to it. I mean, but it's definitely changed over the years, especially like, I mean, this album we're just about to release in November, because of the way the situation was in the world with the pandemic. We actually weren't in the same room.
Yeah,
I wasn't even in the same country when we recorded. We all recorded our parts individually, and then sent all the stems off to be mixed. So in that aspect, it's changed massively. Well, the rest of the guys had a band before called Age of Suffering for like a couple of years. I was in another band in Manchester called Crepitation. We shared a rehearsal space together. They were adamant that they didn't want to play with their drummer at the time with the band, so he left the band. Then we started talking, and we basically thought, instead of it continuing as that band, we just wanted to form a new band together. So we, I guess, changed the name, and then just started fresh with Ingested, and then just honed in our style a little bit more. And I went from there, really.
Nice. Where'd the name come from?
Do you know, we talk about this a lot. I think in those days, obviously, death metal was quite rigid in kind of like the way bands name themselves. It was usually a lot of bands would just pick a song name from a band that they like and go, "That's our band name, that's it," or pick a word from a song title. First one that comes to mind is Suffocation, Legion, in Veracity, the band In Veracity, who sound pretty much like a evolution of Suffocation. So I guess that happened quite a lot back then. But the name, I mean, we were big into bands like Devourment at the time. We didn't want a name that was more than one word. We thought, which is hard because a lot of the one word band names are taken. But it just so happens that was kind of the word that we found that wasn't taken, with a heavy influence from Devourment, obviously, which is to eat. We love eating. And that was it, really. It's not the greatest band name in the world. We still like talk about it, have a laugh. It's just like, we could have probably thought of something better, but it is what it is, and you stuck with it. So
yeah, you guys had a few kind of smaller label releases before winding up on Century Media. How'd that relationship come about?
So we did our first album on Siege of Amida Records, and we did also the second album on them as well. They were then absorbed by Century Media.
Gotcha.
So I think when Century Media got bought by Sony, I think they started absorbing other labels, and Siege Media Records was one of them. So they wanted to take a few bands with them from the label, and we were part of that list. So we then made the switch to Century Media. We only did one album with Century Media, and then after them we signed a contract with Unique Leader Records. We did 3 albums and 2 EPs with Unique Leader. Finished our contract with them in last year, I think.
Yeah.
And then we switched to Metal Blade.
Nice. Yeah, you guys released Where Only Gods Made Tread in 2020.
Yes.
Was there any chatter about just holding that record off further until time opened up, or was it had you already been sitting on it?
No, we actually did. I mean, it was originally supposed to come out in the June of 2020, and I wanted to delay it with the label for this exact reason, actually, that you just said. Obviously, no one knew when we were going to open or anything, so I was just like, "Can we just delay it like just a little bit more?" Because it just seemed it was at a time where no one knew what was going on. Everyone was like starting to close their employment avenues and whatnot. No one really had any money, or even knew where they were going to get their next paycheck from, or if they were getting. Obviously, in the UK, they had a lot of help from the government, and same with Spain. But we didn't know a lot of those details at the time. So we tried to delay it as much as we could within reason. So we ended up delaying it to August, which is still probably a little bit too early, but we did our best.
Yeah.
but again, like no one was to know that it was going to be 2 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were thinking, hopefully it's like just 6 months and it's done. But yeah.
Right. I remember the initial, we're closing down schools for 2 weeks and then we'll see where we're at after 2 weeks.
No one knows, do they? Like, the thing is, I don't know why they put a time frame on it, though. If you don't know what's going on, just fucking don't say anything. And just say, we're closing it indefinitely. We'll let you know when it opens.
Yeah. Was it tough to put that record out as things are closed and you can't tour on it, and like trying to find ways to promote and just be like, here's our music?
Yeah, it was tough, to be honest. But I mean, there was obviously a lot of bands in the same position. I think actually we were lucky because we'd already had it tracked and recorded and mixed, and it was just ready to go. So in that aspect, it was kind of like, well, we're going to put it out at some point, so we might as well just do it.
Yeah.
But not touring it was tough.
Yeah,
that was really tough. But because now we've spent all this past year really touring that album.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously now people want to hear the new stuff, and we're trying to bleed that into the set. And the first part of this year was quite difficult, like knowing which songs to pick and put in the set, because we wanted to promote different songs to what people probably wanted to listen to.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. How'd you guys end up with Metal Blade?
Well, we finished our contract with Unique Leader. We hadn't really made a decision on what to do. We had an offer from Unique Leader to re-sign. We had an offer from a digital label as well to do a digital only album as well. We had the option to maybe go independent. We were kind of like flirting with that idea a little bit. We hadn't made a concrete decision. We were just like, well, we haven't got anything done yet, so let's just see how it progresses. And then Metal Blade actually contacted us, and they heard that we were free agents. So we got an email from them. They said, we hear that you're free agents. Do you want to talk? And we're like, okay. This is throwing a spanner in the works, but yeah, let's talk. And it all went really well. We had really good conversations with them. We all felt on the same page from day one, pretty much, about how we wanted to move the band forward. So yeah, so far it's been absolutely great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it easier now to think about like being an independent band because of Spotify Bandcamp? You can do your own vinyl CDs, like just be like,
yeah, that's the kind of idea we're flirting with, really, because I've got another side project that I did during the pandemic with our engineer for Ingested. Just because we were bored, really, we were just like, let's just do something, just write music and just put it out. And what we did is we signed a digital only deal with Blood Blast Distribution, who's a subsidiary of Nuclear Blast, but they just do only digital. So we do a digital deal with them, and that freed us to kind of do whatever we wanted with the physical copies.
Yeah.
So we can press vinyl CDs with another label, which we did with Vicious Instinct in Australia. So yeah, we kind of flirted with that idea a little bit with Ingested. You know, we were like, you know, this is a route we could do. Obviously, there's other bands that have made a success of it, like Shadow of Intent, for example. They've been independent since day one, I think, and they've obviously done really well out of it. So yeah, I mean, like you said, the nature of the industry these days with Spotify and Tidal and everything else, it does give you that opportunity to do that, which is good because it gives bands freedom, and it also makes the labels modernize their contracts, which I think is a good thing as well.
Yeah,
they don't lock bands into contracts that they, you know, aren't moving with the times, if you know what I mean.
Album is called Ashes Lie Still. This is a opening track on the album. It's about passing of vocalist dad. Is that right?
Guitarist dad, Sean.
Yeah, guitarist dad. Is that like encapsulate a theme of this record where you would name it that, or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, when we were Ashes wasn't even supposed to be on the album originally.
Oh yeah,
it was just going to be a single. We were just going to do a standalone single before the album came out, just to kind of tie fans over. And we ended up picking Rebirth instead, which is the song that we actually released as a standalone single. And then we didn't really know what to do with Ashes as a song, and we were sequencing the album because we always write more songs than we need for an album. We, you know, if we got 10 songs that are going to go on an album, we do 15 up, for example, and we kind of pick the 10 that go best together. And Ashes was kind of like always kind of left aside. And we were kind of thinking of a theme of the album, like where's the running theme? Because it was the first time we ever really talked about real stuff, because there was a lot of stuff going on, obviously with the pandemic, but in our personal lives as well, individually and collectively. And obviously we had a member leave as well during that time. So it was a lot of kind of, not heartache, but like there was a lot of real shit that we're kind of like trying to process mentally, I guess, which is how... which kind I guess you can see through the lyrical concepts, really. But Ashes, like I said, it wasn't supposed to go on the album originally, but then we kind of put it on the album and thought, actually, this actually fits the sequence really well. As an opening track, it actually, you know, it sets the album off in the right direction for the rest of the 40 minutes. And then it came to, we were deciding on an album title. And usually what we do for an album title is we usually pick a standout lyric in an album title from one of the songs, and we use that as a title. And we were looking through for a long time. We couldn't find anything that really kind of just struck us. And then me and Sean were talking. We were like, well, actually, why don't we just do a title track and call it Ashes? And you know, because really the theme of, because he wrote the lyrics to that song, but obviously because of his dad passed away. Yeah. And I felt like that song encapsulated everything else that was going on the album, really. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love the album artwork. Who did the art for you guys?
There's a guy called David Seibman. Again, Sean is a big nerd into like posters, like movie kind of 80s style poster remakes and stuff.
Yeah.
And we always take our art really, really, really seriously when it comes to albums. And we didn't really want to use an artist that usually is like there's a time during like different periods of music where there'll be many bands that pick the same artist, and you'll see a style of art from an artist that's replete across like lots of different albums. And we've always tried to stray away from doing that and actually do something a little bit more unique. So when Sean like actually showed me this guy, I was like, this guy is perfect, and I don't think anyone's used him before for this kind of work, because obviously he's come from the poster kind of world. And when we were looking through his past work, we were kind of like, this guy's mind and concepts are will far outweigh what we can imagine like to do. So we just gave him lyrics, just do your own thing, just completely do your own thing. Usually, we might have a concept in mind, and we go, or we might sketch something out ourselves, and then give it to the artist. But this time, we were just like, this guy will think of something way more unique than we can. So we just gave him lyrics and let him run with it.
Yeah, it's a very cool piece of art, and like it stands out. Like if you were flipping through the CD bin,
Yeah.
you could grab it. I would grab it.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that.
You said you're about to go on tour. What's the rest of this year look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we've got Lorna Shore, USA, and we've got a couple of shows in Canada with them as well. So it's Lorna Shore, Aborted, us, Angel Maker, and Of Sulphur. That starts in about 2 weeks' time, I think. October 21st, I think. So we got about 4 or 5 weeks on that tour. We come back, we got a couple of weeks off. Then we go and do something else, which I can't talk about yet.
All right.
And then we've got a couple of shows at the end of the year. We've got a couple of Christmas shows in the UK. So we've got one in Manchester and one in London. We're yet to announce our supports for those 2 shows yet. But we're going to play everything that we haven't played for a long time. So material, basically, because the problem with doing so much touring is that you can't always play everything that people want to hear.
Yeah.
Especially as your catalog gets bigger and bigger. We've had people come up to us, at shows before when we've got a 30-minute set and they're like, why aren't you playing anything off the first album? So, well, we've got a new album to promote. So we need to promote this album and then we'll do something off the first album on a headline tour. But obviously we're not headline for a while. So these will be our first 2 headline shows in a while. So we're going to go right through our back catalog and bring out some oldies.
Right. Especially you released an album during the pandemic. It's like we got 2 albums worth of new material.
Exactly.
These songs that are 10 years old, we're a little fucking sick of them. So
yeah, exactly. It's like we want to play them, but we need like an hour-long set.
Right.
At least to go through everything we want to play. But
yeah.
But yeah, so we will do it at these Christmas shows.
Nice. Yeah, that Lorna Shore tour, that's gonna be a big one, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be the biggest US tour we've done so far. But I mean, those guys are just killing it at the moment. So it's great. Yeah,
that's rad. What have you been enjoying recently? Books, movies, television? Like, what's been like getting you through?
I'm not massively into films or telly. I'm really not. When I come home, I do a few things. I do a lot of road cycling. I've started doing a bit more running. I play drums a lot and write music and whatnot. And I watch a lot of football. That's pretty much all I do. But there's one thing that has caught my attention, which I really enjoyed, was the Dharma Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought it was really good. It was really... I mean, obviously, a lot of people know about Jeffrey Dahmer anyway. But I thought they nailed it, to be honest. So yeah, it was really good. Really impressed.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.